Mic check, one, two, three. This hopefully is the first of many market recaps that I do on a weekly basis. The goal here for me is one, to be able to track how my investments are doing over time and how I'm improving, seeing if there are any trends, if there are any huge risks that come up on a weekly basis, seeing if I'm over leveraged on one position and may have to rethink my strategy just to keep track of my investment journey and how I progress throughout this journey. That's one reason. And the second, hopefully be able to show other people how to do what it is that I'm doing. Keep in mind that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is all just my personal progress. But I do want to be able to share that with other people and share my ideas and winning strategies to just give someone else some idea of what winning plays look like. I have been extremely interested in the stock market this year and really started to be, again, very invested within the markets. Keep in mind that this has only been a couple months in the making, so so I don't have the most experience, I don't have the most knowledge, but I do know that I have a insane level of curiosity, right? And I just this natural curiosity helps me stay motivated and driven in the markets. Now, uh, ideally, I do want to be able to retire and fully have only the markets as my source of income. Currently, I'm not there yet. Uh, I'm actually, as you can see, more towards the beginning of that journey. But I have no doubt that I'll be able to make it work. And yeah, I just want to get straight to the portfolio here. So for this week, obviously, we're not going to have a traditional market recap and my overall vision. However, I do want to note that for this week, we are at 28,000 overall in the markets right now. Currently, my goal for 2025 is to be $40,000 invested into markets by December 31st, 2025. Why that amount? Because I think that's a healthy and challenging enough place to be at within the markets. Now, when I say within the markets, that doesn't mean invested into the markets. I just want $40,000 here in my account for that to be, and that could be in anything, right? So that can be at stocks at the moment, that could be at in options, that could just be cash holdings, right? So when I say 40,000, I really just mean 40,000 here. That's what I would want to see by the end of 2026. Oh, sorry, by the end of 2025. Now, we are almost at mid-November, so that means that we don't have too much time to get there. However, that's also why I have made a huge investment just on Friday of this week. So yesterday, I bought this huge leap call option on Nvidia. If you haven't been paying attention this week, AI stocks in particular, and really the overall market, has been driven down by concerns of AI and overvaluation of AI stocks. Nvidia, of course, head honcho, top of that, and the largest, really the biggest market cap of any company in the world. So Nvidia has always had eyes on it all throughout the year, and this week especially, I think there was an extremely intriguing opportunity to buy into Nvidia, which is exactly why I decided to sell everything else that I had. So prior to Friday, actually, this whole screen here would have looked a lot different, because typically I like to have a philosophy of having 50% of my money allocated in equities and 50% of my money allocated into options. As you can see, we are nowhere near that right now. I'm actually 95% deep into the options bucket of those, and obviously a very small portion of equities, actual traditional equities, right around 5%. Reason for this is going back to my overall goal for the year, which is to be at 40,000. I wanted to get extremely aggressive towards the end of the year, especially when I recognized that Nvidia was at a discount, right? Just 2 weeks ago, we were at all-time highs of around 207, I believe. And right now, Nvidia is down to like 188, I think, to close the day, right? So it's again, I think it's an extremely intriguing opportunity to buy in. Also, another thing to keep in mind here, there will be NVIDIA's next earnings call happening in about 2 weeks as well. So right around mid to late November is when we'll get the next earnings call for NVIDIA. They tend to always perform well and beat analyst projections. So I expect nothing less given all the noise around AI investments, OpenAI investments, NVIDIA investments. So all of these recent developments, I think, will continue to only deliver excellent earnings results. That's my prediction for going into earnings. However, I think one important thing to note here is that good earnings for NVIDIA especially doesn't always translate to good stock performance at that time. So the previous set of earnings that we had this year was right around here in August. And as you can see, there was a bit of a run up going to earnings. And then right after, there was quite the sell off, right? So going from all the way up to like right around 185, let's say, or where are we here? Right around 180, all the way down to like the 160s, right? So I do see something similar happening this time with a potential pullback post earnings. However, long term, I think Nvidia will shoot up to 250. My target price for Nvidia by the end of 2026 is 250. And again, currently we're at 188. I bought in at 185. Going back to the option that I have here, it is a, as I mentioned, call option expiring in December of 2026. So we have over 1 year we in the market with this option, right? So time decay hopefully will be on our side as a result. I bought 4 contracts at a 160 strike price for Nvidia, and as you can see already within the same day we already made 1,000 on this. I believe this is maybe a 5%, about a 5% increase. So already doing well. The way that I want to play this is going into earnings. I expect there to be that level of hype building up again. A lot of anticipation in the earnings that are coming up. So I do think that we will have a similar run up as we did in the previous cycle. And while I do expect a sell off post earnings as well, I am bullish enough in Nvidia long term. As I mentioned, I do think that we'll get to that 250 price range in 1 year. Now, if this runs up to, let's say, 200 over the next 2 weeks, I do want to just mention I'm exiting this fully, at that point, because if it goes up to one, like the stock is up to 200 from 188, going up to earnings, which I think is very, very possible because they'll only just be near all-time highs and not even at all-time highs. I think that's extremely possible. I will be exiting this entire position here because that would put me at right around 5 to 10,000, somewhere between that range of profit in just 2 weeks, and actually less than 2 weeks. So I will take my profits there if that's the case. And if not, if it does not go up to 200, I will just be holding maybe for a couple more months until we get near the all-time highs again. Of course, there's always risk in this. Now, seeing this is in itself, I mean, extremely risky when you see that 80% of my holdings nearly are in one position, so in one play. Extremely risky, but I do think that there's an easy exit for me here, just in case things start to go south. Again, going back to my goal for the 40,000 for this year, we are $12,000 off right now. We have $12,000 worth of ground to make up for. But a couple things to note here. One, I will be contributing some of my own money to this market value right here. So this 28 will look more like 35,000 just in this next upcoming week. I do plan on putting in about $7,500 myself. And then if assuming everything else goes well, I do think that we'll make at least $5,000 in profit for Nvidia by the end of December, which in theory should put us right at $40,000 in market value, assuming that these other investments just don't go down the drain. But then again, there's such a small percentage that I don't think that will make much of a difference, anyways, right? But I will say this Visa option that I have, this is something that I'd like to keep a close eye on. Has not been performing well. I don't know what's going on with the Visa stock every single day, actually. This either goes up $500 or it'll be down $500. So there's extreme volatility on the Visa stock, which is a bit concerning here for me because my thought going into this stock was that it usually always does well in Q4, right? So if you look at like a 5-year chart, Visa always usually does well in Q4, outperforms. So that was sort of why I was thinking this time either, but this time too. But yeah, hasn't been performing very well for me, Visa, but extremely volatile stock. Something to keep an eye on here. But yeah, overall, I think I'll stop there for this first market recap. Would love to keep track and see the progress as we go on, and we'll check back in next week. But appreciate you all for tuning in, or myself for tuning in, because I don't know if anyone will be watching, but that doesn't really matter because ultimately I do think I'll hit my goal. So bye.